He was giving us this advice while going about 15 miles under the speed limit and running red lights.
I'm gonna not cry. Oh my God. We're only in the intro. Oh my gosh! Rolling with you and getting my ass whooped is my absolute favorite thing every Friday. I look forward to it. Groundworks, submission fighting is the promotion we're starting. I will be, you know what, finally, knife in one hand, flashlight in the other. Smack, smack.
Well, I put a lot of thought into it. And then whenever that didn't go anywhere, I put it into ChatGPT.
But to just have a really cool experience and to be handed money by this guy. Show him your money hand. Dude, you're so stiff. You got rigor mortis already.
Now we get to the scary stuff.
The raw milk.
Oh no. Why did I do this to myself?
All right, Drake, you're on the second episode of Raw Milk. And I forgot to introduce myself, so I'll do it today. I own a gym called Ignite Fitness. We're branded up today. We do strength and conditioning for athletes and Gen Pop. You work for us. You're a significant part of our culture. And yeah, that's what I do. Mm-hmm. And what do you do?
I do everything.
Oh my goodness.
I coach at Ignite Fitness. Yes. and train unique. Do group classes, personal training, online training, all of the things. I also coach jiu-jitsu.
You do a lot of things.
The other side of this building at Gladiators Academy, and in Bro Bridge at Gladiators Bro Bridge, and
you're also a dad.
I am.
That's like a part-time job in its own.
It is. It's a great job.
Okay, so you're one of the busiest guys that I do know. You spin all the plates at once, but right now we're locked in on something else, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But let's talk about how we actually met, because you have an insane memory. So we'll let you tell the first initial stories, because we know I can't.
Okay, you don't remember when we first officially met at Gladiators Youngsville sparring practice because I knocked you out.
That's not true at all. That's not true at all.
That's exactly what happened.
How I remember it is I beat you up and you were forced to take me down.
No,
so
that's probably
before you ever got
accurate.
with Walter or DeAndre. So yeah. I believe my details. Yours are wrong.
What happened was you started throwing punches at me, and I dove on your legs, and then attack submissions. Probably heel hooked you.
You did heel hook me. I know that much because I remember thinking, what the hell? Why does this guy keep doing this? I can just punch him in the face. And then it didn't stop you, and you just kept attacking my heels, no matter how many punches I threw. But then there was the actual thing I remember. We went to Katy, Texas for a kickboxing competition with Tim driving us. And that's where we were instructed to quit everything we were doing and start a plumbing business together, and to abandon all of our dreams. That plumbing was the industry we needed to become a part of and run our own businesses.
It's true.
Didn't matter if we already had stuff rolling, that plumbing was the next big thing.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we didn't take him on that advice.
He was giving us this advice while going about 15 miles under the speed limit and running red lights.
Yes. He did not look at his phone. He literally had 2 phones out. And I think an iPad. And he would not look at the road. And I've never been so scared in my life. And poor Drake's just sitting in the back like this. And he's also making me watch an episode of Alone.
It's true.
And it was quite hectic. For 4 straight hours, I was worried I was going to die. So, and then we went compete. And I had a match. You filmed it.
I did.
And I was dying of sore throat. And I thought I got beat up because I had no oxygen in my brain cells. And turns out
you spent part of the ride trying to sell me on going to your gym and how much of a better athlete it would make me, and then I watched you breathe like an asthmatic pug in a kickboxing match.
With strep throat, my throat was probably completely shut, and I'm and Tim's yelling at me the whole time. There's a break, and I can't hear you. I don't know what you're saying. And I go out there thinking I got beat up, and that's not what happened. I apparently hit her a bunch of times. And that was a good time. And I don't remember your match because I was dying in a corner somewhere after that. I was unable to recover. Did you even have one?
Yeah. I had a match.
You did. That was back when you were frail and tiny and underweight. So.
Still did well, though.
Not very memorable. I'm kidding. It's not memorable for me because I can't remember anything. But
that was a week before my actual MMA debut. I did the kickboxing smoker that weekend, fought my first fight the weekend after.
I actually remember that.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, man, this kid needs some weight on him. He's going to be a 135er.
I was like 143 pounds.
Yeah, that was wild. And then not long after that, you started training with me.
Mhm.
Yes, and
You sold me
that was-
somehow after after watching you die in the corner for 2 2-minute rounds.
that was
You
an
somehow
experience.
sold me.
Somehow, to be fair, I was sick. My conditioning is better than that.
Yep.
I'm just sick.
Yep.
Okay, did you think that when we first met that it would even turn into anything like it is now? I'm your coach, technically some of your boss, and we're best friends, and now we're doing something that we'll talk about later.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's any way I could have known that we were going to do all this. What I did know was that the people that I wanted to surround myself with that were doing well and the things that I wanted to do well in were all around you. So I was like, well, if they're hanging out with her and I want to do the things that they're doing, then it kind of makes sense for me to go over there too.
Yeah, it's kind of shocking. I don't know how people started hanging out with me, but it happened, and now we're here, and I don't even know how that began. But what's something about training with me, being my friend, also being coached by me that surprised you? Because obviously I'm not the same person I was then, and we've evolved a lot together. What's the biggest thing that surprised you that's changed?
That surprised me. I don't know if anything surprised me because like you're kind of who you say you are. So
Raw
like
milk?
yes. Like you
Raw milk.
like if you once you meet you kind of get the idea.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect the level of value that you've added to my life.
Well,
I
that's
think I'd say
adorable.
like I knew that I was going to come here and get stronger and learn how to eat better and do stuff like that. But you haven't just changed my life as an athlete. It's been like every aspect of my life, I'm a better person for knowing you.
Well, I
So.
attribute a lot of that to jiu-jitsu, which we'll get into.
Yep.
To Tim. He's been a big change in my life, and so I feel like that's where most of that comes from. And so I'm gonna not cry. Oh my God, we're only in the intro. Oh my gosh! All right, so we will talk about groundworks in a bit. So if anyone knows us, they know it's happening. And I think that the whole idea of this episode is going to be to talk a little bit about what jiu-jitsu's done for both of us, how we plan to fit groundworks into that, and then a good bit about you, because you never talk about yourself.
It's my favorite thing to talk about, actually.
Yeah, no, not the real stuff, not the feeling stuff. You just talk about what you're doing. So we're gonna ask some deeper questions that maybe you don't ever get to answer. Okay, so what has jiu-jitsu done for you mentally, emotionally, and physically that people maybe don't understand fully? Because you started at a young age.
Yep. So I actually started before jiu-jitsu. I did taekwondo for about 7 years, and I kind of fell in love with martial arts and like the discipline and everything involved with that, but always like kind of felt like I was limited in what I was learning, especially like as I started to watch fighting and learn more about fighting and realize that I really didn't know how to fight, even though I've been doing martial arts for 7 years. So I found a jiu-jitsu gym, Blacklist MMA, when I was 14, and I like immediately fell in love. Like this day I walked into the gym, I knew that that's what I was gonna do, and it was the only sport that I ever like really came naturally to me and that I just became completely obsessed with. And I find I got a lot of things out of it that I didn't expect to get out of it. I was doing it because it was fun and I love to do it. But through it, I learned how to work hard, how to mentally prepare for things, a lot of skills that translated into other parts of my life that wasn't necessarily what I was trying to get out of it, but it's what I ended up getting out of it.
You know, it was crazy. I forget all about this. I also did taekwondo. And I also did it for like 6 years, I think, maybe a little less, maybe 5. Got my 3rd degree black belt, or the second, and then they don't let you get the next one, right?
Yep.
And I remember everyone would tell me, oh my God, be scared of Claire, she can fight. And I realized that that's completely untrue. I let them believe the lie.
Yep.
And then at 15 years old, I believe 15 or 16, I also joined a jiu-jitsu gym and also was like, man, I can't actually fight.
Yep.
I need to actually learn how to fight. We're really only boys and grown men in that gym. And so, yeah, I remember just sticking to it and pushing hard, and no one did anything that actually pushed them that hard. And I wanted to actually live up to what people said I could do, because they definitely have a hype around taekwondo and karate as a kids, but it teaches you almost no skills around self-defense. And I felt utterly useless.
It did.
The minute I got onto that mat and somebody grabbed me and threw me on the ground,
Yep.
I remember being like, what the hell is this?
It did do a lot of good for me because it tricked a lot of people into thinking that I could fight. So I didn't get bullied.
I feel that one.
They were like, don't mess with that guy. He's got a black belt.
That is funny. What's crazy is that me, you, and my husband, DeAndre, we're all besties. All were in Taekwondo. We probably freaking beat each other up at some point. I know I beat up DeAndre if we did. That's just what would happen. Okay, so what has jiu-jitsu taught you that nothing else ever could?
I think it's just the community that I've surrounded myself with.
Yeah.
That has changed my life in a way that nothing else could have.
Right.
Like the people I've met through doing this have allowed me to push myself in ways that I didn't think I was capable of doing. If that makes any sense.
It makes complete sense because that would be my exact answer. Adults don't really have a whole lot of outlets when it comes to creating community where people will actually push themselves, even into their like later years, their 40s and 50s. But a bunch of our guys from our gym just competed in their early 40s for the first time in their whole entire lives. So I 100% agree with you. But how has that changed your relationships outside of the gym?
I feel like because of the things that I've gained from this, I'm able to provide more value for people because I have it's given me the perspective of wanting to push myself and wanting to chase difficult things because of the joy that I've gotten out of doing it in jiu-jitsu. So now I've just looked for that in other parts of my life and I try to give that to other people, whether it's through fitness, nutrition, I like to run, doing things like that. I just like to find new avenues of providing value to other people around me.
Yeah. I think jiu-jitsu does this really unique thing where every time you roll with someone and you have something to give them and you give that, they level up, and then in return you continue to also do that. And there's not many things in the life of we live in now where everything's super convenient and industrialized and no one does hard stuff and everyone's taught to compete with each other. Whereas in jiu-jitsu, the whole goal is to elevate each other because that's the only way to get better. If you don't make your training partners better, you're in fact not going to get better. You're going to have a delusional world, which is where I feel like a lot of people sit. They're scared to be around people that are better than them. And that's my favorite part. Rolling with you and getting my ass whooped is my absolute favorite thing every Friday. I look forward to it.
I completely agree because it's like, not that. No.
Damn. No. You do in fact whoop me.
Yes, that does happen.
Yes.
But I mean, like, as far as like the part where if I don't help other people, I don't get better.
Yes.
I could totally just do the same things over and over again and not teach anyone anything. Right. And then I'm going to go to competition and I'm going to meet someone that knows the defense of that thing and I'm completely screwed because I didn't allow myself to grow. Whenever like we can bounce ideas off of each other and make each other better. And that principle has kind of applied to everything else we've done.
Yes.
But I learned it through competition.
Yeah. I think we don't realize that jiu-jitsu taught us all that until like you're like so far down it. And so it's very easy for people in the beginning to quit jiu-jitsu because they say, oh, I'm not getting better. It's like the principles that you're not getting yet are still happening. You're learning the pattern of helping each other and growing together, and that is just unbeatable. You're not going to get it from anywhere else. So jiu-jitsu is so important. Everyone should be in jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
Just the cult leader himself, the black belt. Yep, do jiu-jitsu. Okay, well, Groundworks Submission Fighting is the promotion we're starting now together.
Yes.
Talk about the gap that you saw that existed and what led to these conversations even happening, because this is all your idea.
Yep.
So how'd that happen? So
I wanted to build a platform. They have things like this out there. This isn't the first super fight organization in existence.
Right.
Combat Sports Coverage in Houston does an amazing job. I've been to a bunch of their events. They do awesome. I've done Submission Hunter Pros also in Houston.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like competitors here should have to go to Houston to have a spotlight put on them.
Right. That's 4 hours just for us. And
exactly.
People from Mississippi and Alabama, that's like 7 to 8.
Yep. Exactly. So I feel like it's just building something in our area that gives back to our grapplers and puts a spotlight on them, is what I was trying to build. It kind of came from, I had a competition that I did at the beginning of the year, and I did awful.
We were there. We were there.
It was, I remember I called you whenever we were leaving the competition. You did great that day.
Yeah, I did do great.
Probably grappled one of the best matches of your life, and I did terrible. So I called you on the way back from the
Normally it's
competition.
the very opposite.
I was driving from Houston to New Orleans because I had some work to do for the military.
Yeah.
And I was like, why did I do this to myself? Like, I made this commitment. I drove all this way. My son cried the entire event.
You did do that, yes.
And then I had to leave there, drive all the way to New Orleans at like midnight. And I remember like, I was like, I just stretched myself so thin because I wanted to compete so bad.
Right.
And this was the opportunity.
Right.
And now I'm just sitting here like, did I really just like make myself, my wife, my kid all go out of this way just for me to have one match?
Right.
Where I got my ass whooped in like a minute?
Yeah, that didn't. With your signature move.
Yeah, live and die by the heel hook.
You did. You did in fact die that time.
I did die.
You handled it well though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was a tough conversation.
Yep.
So, but you had this kind of in your mind before that, or is this?
So I always knew that I wanted to do something that would provide value back to the community that has given me everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wouldn't be where I am as a coach and athlete anywhere if I wouldn't have found jiu-jitsu.
Right.
So I knew that I wanted to give that opportunity to other people, but it was just the capacity in which I did that, where I didn't know exactly where I wanted to do that.
Right.
Because I wanted to own a gym, but as a competitor, I felt like it would have been, I'm still doing too many things that are selfish for me to put 100% of myself into a gym.
Yeah.
Because if I have a fight coming up, then am I taking away from my students because I have to go get training over here or doing this or doing other things? And I didn't want to, I feel like I struggle with sometimes feeling selfish for the things that I want to accomplish.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if a gym was the way to go about that, at least not now, maybe whenever I'm done competing. But I feel like this is a way where I can kind of meet in the middle. I can provide that value to people, but it's an event by event thing. So I can compartmentalize things. I can delegate things to the right people to make the event still run how it's supposed to with the vision that we have in mind, without me having to do everything and feel guilty every time I have something that I'm chasing.
So what was the moment when you decided, well, let's just do it now ourselves, we'll get it done?
I mean, it was like a lot of brainstorming on what it would look like, what I wanted to do. I had a bunch of ideas before I kind of settled on what the structure of it would be or what I wanted to do. At first, it was like, maybe I just put on some small competitions, like in-house things, and then I was like, well, everyone's already doing that. If my goal is to spotlight athletes, then it shouldn't be a tournament where we just set up a bunch of mats and then have people come in and compete where like you have a million things going on at once. Like I want the athletes to be the focus.
Right.
So I think the super fight format is the best way to do that, where they get the full experience of like, you have the weigh-in where everything's focused on you, the fight announcement, it feels big, you have the walkout, your name's being announced, like you did the work, you deserve to have that moment.
Right. And I think sometimes people hear super fights and they think we're against tournaments, but tournaments are a great way to build your competitive experience,
exactly,
to get the reps in and be okay with some chaos, some unstructuredness, but it's weird for your friends and families to watch because you don't know the time it's going to start. There's no show experience, there's no production, and that's okay. You need it. If I wouldn't have had all the tournament experience I did before, I'd have never showed up to the super fight in Houston. And so I think there's also a gap where I'm crazy. You're crazy. There's
crazy.
athletes that are like us and want to do super fights, but aren't yet ready to go to Houston or to Vegas or to somewhere so far away from here that costs a lot of money and takes a lot of effort. And so I'm super excited to show what super fights can be for people outside of just tournaments, because tournaments are great. You got to keep doing them in between it. But I think sometimes there's like this, everyone's in competition with each other when it needs to be a blend of all things. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think that makes sense, right?
It does.
Hell yeah. Okay, well, we got to talk about who's a part of groundwork submission fighting, because we've got a ton of questions because we've shared it very ambiguously.
Yeah.
So
On
there's
purpose.
on
So that
purpose.
we could answer these questions here.
Exactly. All on purpose. We're not just flying by the seat of our
Yep.
pants, as what some of you have told us. We're not doing that. We are very methodical, but we are letting it build. We are trying to curate an experience for you guys. So, Drake, what is your position with Groundworks?
I guess COO would be the official term.
Yeah.
My main goal is just like being the person that has the vision, providing the platform, promoting the show, being the one involved with reaching out to competitors, making matches. Matchmaking is the most fun thing ever to me. I've already got, we haven't announced anything yet, but like,
He
I've
texted
already
me
got
like
a couple.
deep in his sleep in our group chat, just to brain dump you guys. I'm like, dude, relax.
Matchmaking is like my favorite thing.
That's
like
crazy.
I've got a couple matchups that we haven't announced that I already have people that have agreed on both sides, and it's like a giddy feeling.
That's exciting.
Whenever I get two people, I'm like, this is gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
Like that is my favorite feeling.
That's awesome. Well,
So-
you got some cool matchups already lined up.
Yep.
And so I'm excited.
Y'all don't get
Maybe
to know
I'll be
them,
on the second one.
but
Maybe we'll make sure the first one goes off well, and then
Yeah.
I'll be on the second one.
exactly.
Okay. Well, Amy, your wife is a part of it. What is
Yep.
her job?
She is the CMO.
She's behind the camera.
She is behind the camera with my son.
The CSO,
Yes.
champ shit only.
My son Walker, champ shit only.
Yes.
He covers all champ shit.
Yes.
So-
he hands out the belts and the awards, and
Exactly.
he hands out the cash and money for the brackets that we're
Exactly.
doing.
He's gonna be whenever you sign up for the cash bracket, he's gonna be holding the pot.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Big money stuff, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Looks like Yoda over there covered up in a blanket. Okay, but what is Amy's actual job? Mostly marketing? Or?
Yes. All things marketing. So anything to do with the.
And anyone that
look
doesn't
and
know how
feel
much
of the-
work is in marketing,
Oh, yeah.
it is the most amount of work. And there's a reason that we are willing to pay
Yeah.
her so much all the time.
I don't want to
You do everything. If you see anything posted on my end, it is Amy Pellegrin, Revival Media.
Yep.
I ain't got the time nor the patience, and I don't know how she gets it done.
Yeah. We haven't released it yet. By the time we release this podcast, it might be out. But we have all the rules and guidelines and everything, and watching her put all that stuff together and making it into a format that makes sense just blows my mind. I'm like, I don't know how you sit here and do this for a million different companies all the time. I would die.
She might have to take the role of champ shit only because it is kind of crazy. And then I'm the CFO.
Yeah.
I make sure we actually have money to do it and that we
go.
budget correctly. And
'Cause I
what
will
else am I
spend
doing?
all the
You will
money.
spend all the money. I feel like I have some other jobs to make sure that you don't work yourself to death.
Yeah.
And that
You're good at delegating.
Delegating,
and making sure
delegating,
that no one
delegating.
works themselves to death.
delegating,
Because we're-
even delegate myself away.
We are three people.
We are three
that
people.
will work themselves to death if
Yeah.
given the opportunity.
The first day he told me, I said, I made this spreadsheet as a gift for your business. Here you go. And then you was like, well, I mean, you could, I'm down if you want to be a part of it. This seems crazy. And then in a day, I finished everything else, and everyone was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Do you even sleep? I mean, sleep
This
is required.
launch
is not required.
of us announcing this and like rolling out the first event would have taken a lot longer if you would not have been a part of it, because there would have been a lot of figuring out on my end.
Yeah. And if anyone knows me, I just push incredibly hard. So
Yes.
you give me an idea, we're going somewhere with it, and it's probably a little further than you expected it to.
Yep. But it's all within the vision of what we're trying to
yeah.
accomplish, which is why I'm completely comfortable with you being a part of it.
That's true.
If it's someone that's just coming in and trying to do their own thing, then I probably would have said no and figured it out on my own. But you align with what we're trying to accomplish.
That is the next question. What solidifies our partnership? The shared value of people being first. We have put ourselves in such strange positions a bunch of times because we put people first, and it always comes out better because we feel fulfilled. They end up getting what they need. And so that's going to be the vision for Groundworks is competitors first. Obviously, we care about our fans having a good experience, but if the competitors aren't getting what they need, the show will never be good enough for the fans anyway. So I feel like a lot of times promotions have that backwards. They want to make sure the fans have the alcohol and have the good seats, but then they forget about all the small stuff that makes competitors like excited and put on a good show.
Yep.
Because you have one inconvenience, like a baby crying. and now it's hard to put on the
Walker.
Now it's hard to put on the show that you won, and now you forgot what your game plan was, and now your energy has dropped. And so I think my most exciting part of all this is like making sure that that happens well, and hiring people that do their job well in the back, making sure that they keep all the noise quiet in the back, because there's nothing worse than being at a promotion. People in the back that don't need to be there, things that
Everyone
get in the
bringing
way.
their mom and
Everyone
their dad
bringing their
and
mom and daddy in the back.
girlfriend
No,
and-
we're going to have a dedicated spot. You guys can be a part of the experience, but not at a detriment of our athletes having a good warm-up.
Claire's gonna be the security.
Oh, we'll be, you know what, fine. Knife in one hand, flashlight in the other. Smack, smack. You can hit with both of them. I'll jab you with it if I need to. No, just kidding. All right. I think the last thing we need to mention is that we don't want to compete with anyone. This is a space to grow together and to provide outlets for competitors to highlight what they've been putting into jiu-jitsu, because we don't get that often. You go to a tournament, you're not getting filmed at all. And then we are expecting people to want to call on to us from higher level organizations, but how are they going to know? Because somebody talked about you in a dollar store? It's like, oh, match make them with Drake Pellegrin. He did a heel hook a couple weeks ago.
I did.
You did. You got it on video.
Yep.
But how often does it happen for other people?
They're gonna tag Dana White in the comments, and that's how it's gonna happen.
Not everyone brings their grandparents, their parents, their wife, all their best friends to a tournament. Most of them show up with just themselves and a teammate. That video is sideways, crooked, and just themselves. Just a selfie video the whole time. So you're very fortunate, but most competitors don't have that, and also don't know how to ask for help. So I'm excited that that's a part of it. The marketing is going to be my favorite part. But let's talk about why the name Groundworks Submission Fighting.
Well, I put a lot of thought into it, and then whenever that didn't go anywhere, I put it into ChatGPT, and it gave me Groundworks. And then I just think submission fighting sounds a lot cooler than grappling.
Yes, it does.
So I went with submission fighting over grappling, and it kind of works out because, like, Groundworks, we're working on the ground. It makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense.
Good job, ChatGPT.
Yes, good job. And so I think the one thing that we said that maybe not everyone's going to get is we mentioned community built. What does that mean for you?
Community built?
Yeah.
So I feel like this isn't something that's happening that feels like it's above the community, that they're like everyone is contributing to this and is a part of this. Like, this isn't a gym thing. Like, this isn't our gym or one of the other local gyms putting on an event. This is something that I want everyone to be a part of, that we can build and do together, that raises all ships. This doesn't have to be like I get the credit or this gym gets the credit. Like, I want like the rise to be everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone in Acadiana, everyone that wants to be a part of the show. I have friends in Mississippi, Alabama that have already hit me up and want to be on the show. I want everyone to grow together and get better together and promote the work that everyone's putting in, not us doing this or this gym doing that.
Right. I like that. We said that this is going to be a place where local grapplers can test themselves and be seen and have something to fight for in front of their families. And so we said we would talk about the tournament experience, and I think we did that. But I don't think we talked about how awkward it is for the actual families to show up. I don't think I've ever let anyone come to a tournament.
My family refuses to not come to a tournament, and my poor grandmother has to stand at the barricade at every event.
She does.
She's 5 foot nothing. There's people standing in front of her.
The barricade is taller than her.
Her feet hurt because she's been there for 6 hours standing up.
That is true.
It is straight up not a good time.
No, and then you have to know what mat they're fighting on. They don't understand the rule set, so they think you're winning the whole time because
I probably am.
Yeah, exactly. But like, they don't understand the rule set, so they're confused when like you finally don't get your hand raised for the first time in probably 20 matches. Because last year, how many did you have? 20 what?
I don't know. 20.
You had like over 20,
something.
and you only lost like I think 1 or 2.
I lost 2.
So they
I remember
got
how
very,
many I lost. I don't remember how many I had.
They got very used to you picking your hand up, and so when they saw you not get submitted, and then they saw no hand, they were really confused. I'm sure. Because he did so good. My baby boy got a win. He did good. Okay, when someone steps into a Groundworks event as a competitor, what do you want them to feel and experience?
I want them to feel the energy and excitement around the event. I want it to feel like people are there to see them do the thing that they've been putting all this work in for.
Yeah.
Not like, I feel like a tournament is a good way to test yourself and build yourself up and get a lot of experience. But I want to put on a platform that gives you something to show for it.
Right.
Versus it being the place where you're going to get the experience. I want it to be the experience.
Right.
Like, you did all this work and now you get to go experience this.
Right. That's exactly what I was thinking. I'm thinking like fog, strobe lights. If you have epilepsy, close your eyes.
Oh my Lord.
I'm kidding. Who knows what it'll look like? But I'm thinking the most because every other sport gets the most.
Yep.
You know, and I feel like a lot of times as grapplers, we don't get any of that. And then it gets real easy to think, oh, it's just another competition. But, I mean, why not make it fun? If
Yep.
everyone else gets to have fun, we get to have fun too. What kind of competitors are we trying to build this space for?
Like I was saying, like, the work that people are putting in is what we're highlighting. So it's not about the gym you come from. It's about, are you doing the work?
Yeah.
If you're a type of person that's coming and putting in the work, you've done the competitions around you, you're doing the work in the gym, you're getting better, you're pushing yourself. We all know who those people are, and that's the people that we're trying to push and bring to the next level. We don't have to be on the level of an ADCC or something like that, but if we can provide a platform for a person that is trying to get there and be a small part of their journey, then I'm happy.
Right. Cool. What do you feel like you've always... Oof, no, I can't read. Do you feel like you've always been someone who wants to build something, or did that start to like shift in you at some point throughout your journey?
It probably started to shift in me. A lot of my early ambitions were just competition focused, not so much working to help the people behind me. I think that's kind of something that I've developed along the way from being around a lot of people, where I've realized like I wouldn't be where I am without this person.
Yeah.
And if I can give that to someone else, then that will make me feel fulfilled. I still have my own personal goals, things that I want to accomplish in the sport, but if I can bring up the community alongside me, then that makes me feel a lot better about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because I have struggled a lot with my own ambitions, feeling like I'm a selfish person for the things that I wanted to do. So having these things to do alongside it kind of motivate me and keep me going.
Yeah, I think the difference maker in being successful and like managing all that is that you know how to communicate, you know how to be a team member. So many people want to do everything themselves because they're in everything for the glory and for the ego boost that they might get for, man, you did that all alone. Like, that's not how you make anything that's actually worth a damn for the most part. Like, you need a team. And so you work hard to build that in your life. I worked hard to build that in my life and my business. And I think Groundworks is going to be that too. Because if it was just me, it wasn't going to happen. If it was just Amy or you, probably wouldn't have made it either.
Like I was saying earlier, if it would have just been me, this announcement would be coming probably in like 2028 or something, because you came in and made a lot of things happen that would have taken me forever to figure out, because I just don't know what I don't know, and I'm not afraid to admit that and put the right things in your hands to let you run with it and make it the best it can be. It doesn't have to be about me. It's about making it the best possible for the people that are going to be a part of it.
No, that's what makes you special. A lot of people aren't willing to do that, which is what'll hold them back forever. Me and Damon actually talked about that the other day. We obviously have a partnership in this building. Our businesses aren't together, but we're right next to each other. And we were talking about potentially separating. Because why? Because it was easier to not have the conversations. And so we were like, actually, why would we? There is no upsides to separating other than not having hard conversations. So is it that it would actually be better, or is it that we would have a little bit less work to do and maybe feel a little bit more emotionally comfortable? Because we didn't have to have hard conversations and maybe hold each other accountable. And so we both decided, like, no, we can do the work. Like, we're both worth that type of effort. And that was a cool conversation that I kind of forgot happens. And I was excited because I was like, man, that's going to happen with Groundworks. Like, Drake's going to want to do something, or Amy's going to want to have an idea, or myself, and I'm going to have to tell us, like, we don't have that kind of money right now. We're going to have to wait. Or we don't have that type of support yet. We have to plan for that in the future. Or we're not aiming high enough. We need to aim a little bit higher to gain more momentum. And so I'm excited.
I think that has already kind of happened, where it started off as like, well, we can start small and do this, and then it kind of just came like, well, if we're doing this for the people, then we need to give them the show that they deserve to be a part of.
Yeah, but it's scary too because we're putting a lot out there.
Yep.
We're putting ourselves out there for criticism. We're putting our pocketbooks out there. We're putting our reputation on the line.
Yep.
Because all it takes is one bad show for people to remember you by.
Yep.
So we said we were going to give a teaser about what's coming. We're purposely taking our time to reveal the information about the first show because we're trying our best to continue to elevate the experience. So we don't want to say one thing and then keep building it, and then you guys think it's we're doing too much. The goal is to continue providing more and more and more. And so if you feel like we're not giving you enough yet, it's on purpose. So follow and listen and pay attention. In the meantime, you doing a seminar?
Yep.
Bro Bridge.
Yep, that's the first seminar.
When is that? This Saturday?
It's the 31st, May 31st.
May 31st. Hopefully we should be putting this out before that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have an even bigger surprise. We're going to be going out to New Orleans soon. I think sometime at the end of July. Date is pending, but we will have super fun stuff. We're going to have probably 2 or 3 small-ish seminars followed with some super fights in between. So just be on the lookout for that because it's going to be extremely exciting. And then we're doing a special limited edition rash guard to kick everything off, and then some cool shirts to kick everything off. And that's going to come out probably, hopefully, before this video. So if you're watching the video right now, go buy a shirt. Do you have anything else about Groundworks that you think we should talk about before I ask you all the questions I have planned?
Well, we didn't really talk about the format rule set.
Oh, do you want to talk about that today?
Oh, we could do a little bit of it. Cool. We are going to be doing mostly super fights. We will have cash brackets mixed into the event. I like the cash bracket a lot. Tell
them by my dance, I also like cash brackets. I have not won one, but I like it.
People compete hard whenever you put money on the line.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm excited about that part of it. I'm also excited that for super fights, we're not asking people to pay $100 to compete. We're kind of giving them that platform where it feels like a professional thing. But the cash bracket is an exciting thing where you're going to see people go from the first round of the tournament where you're just kind of getting to introduce to a lot of these people, and then you're going to watch them progress through the bracket, and then by the time you get to the finals, you know the story of this person's last 3 or 4 matches, and you know what they're going to do, and you've seen the build-up, and you get excited about it, and one of them gets to take home a bunch of money.
I'm already excited.
Whenever they win. So I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited about the format. We're doing submission-only regulation periods, so it's going to be no points, but we will be scoring matches if it goes to decisions based on the aggression, based on the submission attacks. We want high action matches. We don't want people getting into guard and stalling.
Right.
So the ref will probably smack you in the back of the head or something if you do that.
I like that rule. I think that should be a mandatory rule. It's like you stall, you don't get anything deducted. It immediately turns into combat jujitsu.
Let's go.
Only the ref can hit you though. No one else is throwing anything. Just the ref, until you move, is just palming you until you start to make something happen. I think that should be it.
Let's go.
Okay, what else
We're adding
about
that to the rule set.
Yeah, immediately. Now, Amy, you got it? All right. What else?
We have a full rules card that'll be released probably within the next day or 2.
Okay.
That Amy worked very hard on.
Yes, she did.
That I'm very, very excited to release. I think it looks really cool.
Yeah.
Usually rule set is just like a 2-minute video that someone posts on Facebook that I never watch. So I'm excited that we have it all built out in a format that's easy to follow.
Yes.
And hopefully makes sense to all of our competitors.
Easy to follow is key because I never know the rule set. I've actually lost so many in the past.
Pretty sure every tournament we've ever went to, Jared's exact words have been, if you submit them, you don't need to know the point system.
Yeah. That is true, but I've had that problem where the submission doesn't happen, so I've got to kind of worry a little bit.
Yep.
But I'm hoping to change that. So next up is going to be the questions about you. So is that everything about Groundworks out of the way?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Now we get to the scary stuff.
The raw milk.
Oh, no.
In case you didn't watch episode 1, raw milk is how Carly Giudice explained my coaching. People are scared of it because it's been maybe, pushed against. It's kind of scary, but if done right, you keep showing up, it brings all the nutrients, it brings the growth. And that's me. So this is going to be a space for people to have an open and honest space to share anything and everything they're willing to share, whether it's about mats, time, your community, competitors or non-competitors, it doesn't matter. A lot of us don't realize that as competitors, the things we go through is also shared experiences with non-competitors, and that the mindset we use to overcome being on the mat is the very thing they might need to hear to bring into their day-to-day life. Because, like, let's be honest, life is kind of a struggle, and it all kind of feels the same, you know. So that's what I'm hoping this is, and I'm hoping that Drake co-host some episodes, so that way
For sure.
we bring some different energy, some sarcasm into the mix.
Exactly.
So let's let people know all about you.
I kind of want to expand on that point too.
Go ahead.
So we were talking about how the shared things between being a competitor.
Yes.
I feel like a lot of the things that I've learned about myself is why I like to compete. It's not necessarily just going and get my hand raised.
Right.
I've learned more about myself in hard fights and hard matches than probably anything else I've ever done. Where I've been in situations in fights where I am in the second round of a fight, my nose is broken, I feel absolutely miserable, and my brain starts telling me, you can quit right now, and no one would have to know that you quit. All you have to do is put your arm out there, he'll grab an arm bar, you tap, and no one will have to know that you're a quitter.
Right.
And if I wouldn't have done the mental preparation leading up to a competition and learned the things that I learned about myself and who I want to be, then in that moment I would have quit. And that has translated a lot to my situations in life, going through the military, being in boot camp, having a lot of days where I wanted to quit and wanted to give up on myself. And being a competitor translated into life and made me a better person in those situations, a person more able to endure and deal with the stressful situations and come out the other side of it.
Right. I had a recent experience too, the same, almost similar, is when I went with Nina Smith after we fought in the cage. We actually had our jiu-jitsu match, and I remember everyone telling me stupid stuff. I obviously won the cage fight, so they were like, you have to do all these things. A lot of pressure built up for no reason. And so we went to our match. I hit a takedown, and she ended up getting me in my favorite submission. And I remember going through I knew she got it. There was, when you set it up perfectly like she did, Nina killed it. It's hard to, it's like, you're just complimenting them. Just like, oh my God, you are literally a dog. And that's what happened in the match. And afterwards, instead of being upset about myself, I knew I did the best I could. And that in the past, as a new competitor, I remember always being like, man, like I should have won. And I shouldn't have won. She did the work. She did what she was supposed to. She obviously had better jiu-jitsu when it came to the positions we were in. And I took the things and I went back and worked on it, and I fixed it the next week. And I remember there being such a change in my thought, and I even called and thanked her for being there, which was also a new experience for me, because that's not how you're taught to be when you're in toxic environments, which I've been in the past when I started jiu-jitsu. And so that was a cool experience for me, being on the mat and just acknowledging to your competitors around you, like, hey, thank you for pushing me to continue growing. And I've done that recently now with my gym competitors. Thank you for just being here, supporting what we're doing and being a part of the gym community. And so that was cool. And people don't do that enough either.
Love that.
I know. Hopefully we have Nina show that. You know how crazy, I had to call her and ask her to be at the seminar we're going to do.
Yeah.
And I had to say, hey, can you show that submission you got on me and then the other 4 girls after me, because it was incredible. And she was so hype about it, so that was fun to do.
I'm excited about that.
I'm excited.
She's such a dog.
She's the best person I've ever met. But we're going to transition. So how do you balance wanting to do everything while fully committing to everything?
Yeah. So we talk about this a lot, our ability to compartmentalize things and put things in its box and try our best not to let it out of that box and go into the other areas of life. I'm not perfect at that. I have a really hard time turning off work brain.
I mean, I could show the time steps in our group chat at probably 11 p.m.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah.
So I'm not perfect about it. Like there's definitely moments where I'm thinking about work and Amy's trying to talk to me about something and I'm in a completely different world thinking about matches, competitions, like all this stuff that I probably shouldn't be thinking about in that moment.
Amy's behind the camera like this.
So I'm not perfect by any means, but I try my best to compartmentalize things and be in the moment that I'm in, working on the things that I'm working on, and not let them overflow into each other too much.
Yeah, that's hard. That's a skill I think you learn. Look, we learn in jiu-jitsu too.
And it's also that none of the things that I'm doing feel like work, which is why it's so easy to bring it into my home and not just forget about it and never think about it until the next day when I have to go back to work, because I'm not doing work in my head. Like whenever I'm here, I love teaching classes. I love interacting with people and trying to push them to be better versions of themselves. I love teaching jiu-jitsu and sharing the knowledge that I've gotten, because I know how valuable that was to me, and I want that to translate into other people. So it's like I'm not doing a bunch of work. I'm doing a bunch of things that I love.
No, I agree. And people think that sounds corny, but it's not being able to sit with that and like actually identify what matters to you that makes that like makes stuff corny.
Yep.
So people, I don't have anything like that. Well, you don't allow yourself to have anything like that. You don't identify the community you have, and so that's something special people can't do, and that's just a testament to your emotional vulnerability and being open with yourself and the people around you, being connected. And I think that's not. It's gonna sound like we're part of a cult, but like I think it's because of jiu-jitsu.
No, it's because of jiu-jitsu. It's also because of things that we've talked about, like where, like, I'm doing things that align with the values that I've identified myself with.
Right.
I'm not going out there guessing as to what is important to me. I know who I am and I know what's important to me.
Right.
And if I'm doing something and it doesn't align with those things, then it's probably not worth doing. Or maybe I've changed as a person and I'm no longer the person that had those values and I need to reevaluate myself.
Yeah, I think something you've gotten good at in the past probably year and a half is saying, I'm not sure, or no to things that don't align with what you're kind of currently prioritizing in your life, which is something that we both struggled with. We say yes to everything, anything that excited us.
Yep.
But we don't have that luxury anymore. We don't have that much time available to us. So that's been cool to watch both of us do, is just say no a little bit more often.
Yep.
Because we're some crazy people. So the next question actually was, what's a hard season we both went through behind the scenes that's made this more meaningful, and maybe people wouldn't have guessed we've been through? Because I mean, we're all close teammates.
Yeah.
I feel like there's been a lot of things going on the past year. Anything you want to highlight or outline?
You want to go first, or you want me to go first for
go
hard
first.
things? Okay.
You could go first.
Well, I definitely, so going back to the core values and like changing as a person and seeing what aligns with you, what you want to do, I've definitely had my fair share of, like, as a competitor, not knowing what I wanted or if what I was doing was worth it to myself anymore, especially after we had our son.
Right.
I struggled a lot with the amount of work that I was putting in that didn't feel like work, that once we had him, it's like, am I taking away from him by doing all these things that are about me?
Yep.
And so that was something that you really helped me work through as a person, like just balancing being a good person for my son, being a good role model for him, and still doing the things that are valuable to me. Because without you, I don't know that I would have continued to do the things that were important to me, which probably would have made me less of a person as a father and as a husband, if that makes sense.
It does make a lot of sense, and I kind of forgot that happened. You just made such a big come up right after it, but yeah, that was some intense conversations, and they were like hard for you to go through. I actually remember, what is it, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, when we did the development day, where I talked about caring more, and that sometimes we put like the biggest things ahead of us, and we think that's our purpose. You know, and you very much, I want to be a world champion still, but that was your whole purpose then.
Yeah.
And we talked about, what if you didn't make that your purpose and it changed? And it was just something that continued no matter what you actually had up there. And I think that was the most transformative kind of period in your life, where you realize, like, well, maybe it's not being a world champion. Maybe it's striving for a lot,
Maybe it's
and that
the
can change.
journey
Maybe
and
it's
not
the
the
journey, and you were like,
destination.
you went through like this little period of like, I'm so confused,
Yeah.
and then you came out and just completely changed, and all you did was talk about it, and it was great, and everyone just kind of was like, do I need to reevaluate what I'm saying out loud like that? Like, who are you? And that was cool, and I think that's kind of was the most impactful. And I remember me and Damon just being like, dude, you saw him afterwards, right? Like, that hit him hard. And it hit me hard too. So that was a hard season for me personally as well, because I never had any real goals, like big goals. This gym happened on accident for myself. I was really raised in a weird way where I don't know if I had any real big goals. I wasn't told how to really amount to much. So I was just told I was a hard worker, talked a lot. So for me, I felt like I was in this weird spot where I don't have big goals. Something's wrong with me. And then I realized along the way, I'm just so grateful for every single moment. And that's why I work so hard, because I was not told I would have great friendships, or that businesses weren't an opportunity, and that I would never have a good husband, and I would never have a family like I do now. And it's not real family, but it's like family, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for every moment. And I was forced to have that, but I felt weird because I didn't have a big goal like being a champion. And so we both kind of went through something at the same time, but it was different.
Almost like opposite of each other.
It was so crazy. So I was
Where
happy.
I had this physical goal
Yeah.
that I'm chasing, but like kind of missing the things in between.
Yeah.
And you were being so grateful for the things in between, but felt like you were missing the big
Like something was wrong with me almost.
pot at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah, it was weird. it was really, really weird. And it's still weird sometimes too. People ask you, what are you working on right now? What do you mean?
A million different
Trying to
things.
become the best person that I can
Yeah.
and help as many people as I can. So yeah, okay, cool. And then we went into what have we taught each other. I think we taught each other way too much to go into that one. We'll be talking for another hour. What's something, we already answered that. What's something about the other person that's changed since you met them? Everything. Literally every single thing.
I'm not broke no more.
Wait, okay, yeah. You're not broke anymore. You guys, no one, y'all forget this story. Drake did not have no money. He apparently put his coaching on a credit card.
Did.
And then one day he was like, I think I want to be a coach. And I was like, cool. And he was like, I can't be one. And I was like, you could be one. And he was like, I don't know how. And I said, I know how. And we just started coaching him every morning at Tuesday, Thursday, 6 a.m., just answering every question. Here's a book. Here's another book. Here's another thing to go read and look up. And at some point, he was like, I'm good. Let's do it.
It's also like you have given that opportunity to a lot of other people. Like, it's not like it was just a me thing.
Yeah.
I think I kind of like took it and ran with it, and I'm not even sure if you expected me to. It was kind of just something like we were in a session, and it like
you were squatting like Bambi.
You kind of mentioned that you were looking for a coach, and I was interested in it.
Yeah.
I was working in a shop at a time, I think making $12 an hour.
Tragic.
And like I had mentioned that I was interested in it, and you gave me some things, and then you kind of let me take them and go expand upon them, and I think you've given those to a lot of other people. And then whenever you like put that there and send what they did with it, they didn't really do much with it. And I went
Shannon did. Shannon popped off.
Yep.
My cousin
Yeah.
Shannon, killing it.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Continue.
No, she is.
She
She's
deserves
crushing it.
all the highlights.
She's crushing it.
Yes.
But yeah, I went get the certification and stuff. I bothered you probably every day with questions about that stupid certification.
You did. It was perfect. It was great. It was great. I would give all the time back again.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, well, now you have a whole entire career around coaching. It's all you do every single day, even when you don't want to.
Yeah.
You still do it.
Love it.
Yeah. What part of Groundworks feels most aligned with the kind of leader and competitor you want to be? And in my opinion, you are the person that you want to be. Like, you say you want to be a great leader, you want to be a great dad. You're always actively working on doing those things. And so you're there already. It's just about always making it better.
Yep. Just continue to provide value to people and highlight the people that are doing the right things. I'd say is like, that's the common factor in everything that I do. That's also the common factor in what we do in the gym. Like, I realized while I was writing my kind of vision for Groundworks, I was like, this is basically a jiu-jitsu competition Ignite Fitness. Like, I'm trying to build something similar to what we've already have, but give it to a different group of people.
Well, I got that from Tim.
Yep.
I used to think it was so corny that Tim would say stuff like building people into better people. And I was just like, hey, building nothing in me. And before you know it, I'm looking back, I'm like, who the heck was that girl? That girl was so delusional. And then he taught me the power of giving to people, even when they didn't give nothing back. And that at some point they may have something to give back. At some point they may not. And that's also okay. And that's one of the key things that I learned from Tim very early, watching him interact with people that were in jiu-jitsu and not in jiu-jitsu. And he gave no matter what. And he still does.
Yep.
Now, a lot of people hate him because he didn't give in the way they wanted him to, but he gave in the way that they needed, and harsh truths, free sessions, and they didn't want that. Instead, they want special stuff. But what they need is what they got, and they didn't want to do the work. So I try to continue doing that, and so I hope we can take that into groundworks, which is ironic, because jiu-jitsu got to Louisiana from Tim.
Yep.
And so we're just gonna keep freaking moving the culture forward.
Yeah.
And if I sound like a Tim fangirl, it's because I am. Because I am. I'm a fangirl. He's my coach. He's the best. Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I haven't known him for I have known him, but like I didn't come up under him like you guys did. I started at another gym, but I've known him since I was a kid. Like at tournaments and stuff like that, I would see him all the time. But even like in the short, for almost 4 years that I've been in Lafayette, he's given me, like I work at his gym. I teach jiu-jitsu at Gladiators headquarters. That's not possible without him.
Right.
There's a lot of things, like he's been the promoter for the shows that I've fought on. Like I don't have probably half the fights that I have in the career that I built as a professional athlete without him.
Right.
So
when I started jiu-jitsu, I started at the worst possible school any girl could ever. I'm not even gonna say the name. Like no one should know the name. If it's still open, I feel so sorry for those people. And the way I met Tim was me and my friend. We had competed with the girls, didn't even know who they were. At some point, something tragic happens. Very horrible. But I get a call from Tim, and I'm at work, and he's asking me, how is your friend doing? How are things over there? Like, we know about you guys. We've been watching you from afar, and we're concerned. Come train with us. We know training's important, and you guys need an outlet. We come over there. Great time.
Yeah.
We're obviously we're project kids at this point. Like, we are the problem people you do not want in your gym. We're loud. We're obnoxious. We're crazy. We're ready to create a storm. And that's how my husband remembers me. And he tells his story of how he first met me. And it's so cute. He says that he was just like, this is going to be crazy. And so, yeah, we have a good time. And then a couple weeks later, he says, keep coming. And we're like, we got no money. And he said, who cares? Keep coming. You guys are great. Keep coming. And so 2019, that happened, and I have not left since. And Tim has been, and the community around us has been the best thing that's ever happened in my life. And then I moved to Lafayette 6 months later, and I would never turn back. So jiu-jitsu kind of starts like that, where you just get into it and people don't let you go.
Yep. And he's like, even with this, like, I saw him for the first time in a while the other day, and the first thing he does is start naming venues, giving us advice on like things we can do. Like he's just been a help in any way he can be throughout this process.
Right. And Tim has a lot of qualities people could hate. Because I have the same qualities, and people hate me for it. Honesty, brutality, in the honesty sometimes, but it's always heartfelt. And he always has a solution. He'll give you a job, he'll give you a hug, he'll probably let you sleep at his house if you really needed to. I think at one point he told me I could sleep on the couch at the gym if I needed to. It smelled in there, so I definitely didn't do that. But it's something he's willing to do. But we'll kind of move on a little bit. What's something we've disagreed on or seen differently, but we still respected? I think it's just Walker. I said, do not have Walker. It's too early. You got too many things you want to do.
Tim told me the same thing. Whenever I moved to Lafayette, he said, as long as you don't have a kid, you'll be a world champion one day. Like,
but now he's the gym mascot, and we wouldn't live without him.
Exactly.
So that's funny. Okay, so we talked about groundworks, but what else is on your radar right now?
Well, I'm fighting in about a week, so that's fun. I accepted the fight. It's at 145, so I don't have to die to get to 135 pounds. That's exciting.
No, we do not. I'm so thankful.
I took it on 2 weeks' notice, so Friday of last week. It's a guy that I've fought before as an amateur. Now we're going to be fighting as pros in Biloxi on May 17th.
I'm going to the beach.
That's exciting. Going to the beach.
Yeah.
Let's go.
You've also been running races.
Yep.
Doing tournaments.
Amy and I have been doing races together. This is something that made me super excited because she's hated running for as long as I've known her. And one day she decided, you know what? I need to do more things that make me uncomfortable.
The world-class scientist David Goggins said, the more hard things you do that you don't want to do makes your brain grow.
Bro, that's
I
hilarious.
tell all of the kids I coach, there's a world-class scientist named David Goggins. And I tell them that, and they're like going to their parents like, David Goggins, the scientist said. And it's absolutely amazing because it works.
It is true, though.
So if you're coaching kids, tell them there's a scientist, David Goggins, and tell them anything and everything he said. It works.
There is a part of your brain that literally gets bigger whenever you do difficult things that you didn't want to do.
David Goggins did say it, Thomas. I know it's true.
It is.
His word is the Bible's word. So.
It's true. So yeah, the running the races has been a lot of fun. We've been doing that together, doing tournaments whenever I can. I still enjoy competing as often as possible.
Nice.
Just whatever's fun.
If someone said, "What's Drake building?" What would you hope their answer is?
I think it's the community and just being. It doesn't have to be about what I'm building. It's about what we're building together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and just having growth-minded people around each other.
Being surrounded by like-minded people and people that want to get better and doing everything that I can to make people better.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be about what I'm doing. It's about it should rise. Everyone should rise together.
This is so off topic. Not really off topic, but I think it's important. So often people think opportunity for growth is only in you're getting access to a new opportunity, someone's being kind to you, giving positivity. Ironically, most of the time where people have an opportunity for growth is in the questions people ask. You know, when they ask you about, I'm so guilty, and they ask you about details and you're aggressive instead of just, hey man, I'm so happy you asked. Or it's in, why'd you do something this way? Or they say something and you respond with a new question that makes them think. And a lot of times instead of just being like, man, that's a good question, but like, why'd you ask that? And so it's super important to recognize that opportunities aren't just in new things, it's also in questions that people follow up with. And I think people do a horrible job at that. They just be positive. I'm so happy for you. Instead of saying,
great.
What's your goal
Good
with that? What are you hoping to bring to something? And those questions could pull something out of somebody that they didn't even know was an option to think about. Maybe they didn't explore yet. And that's something we do really well here is always asking questions. And some people take it as like bullying and asking too many questions, but like that's where the real growth is.
But going back to what we were talking about earlier, without that, I'm still the person that wants to win a world title but has no idea who he is outside of fighting.
That's good. Yeah. I get asked hard questions here every single day. And it's what made me who I am today. But what's a moment in training, coaching, or just real life where you felt like, damn, we're actually building something different here? Maybe not just with Groundworks, not with just Ignite, not with Gladiators, but like with the people that you're around. Has there been a moment recently where you kind of felt that?
Like I said earlier, I kind of have realized it as I've been trying to put everything into perspective with what I'm trying to accomplish with this, is just looking around and seeing the people that seeing how far I've come from whenever I moved to here and the people I've surrounded myself with and the community that we have. I've been really grateful and really appreciative of all of that as I've been trying to build this, because it's like, as I'm looking into what I want this to be, I'm like, man, I have all these amazing things for myself. How can I give that to more people? How can I make that accessible to more people?
I like that. Yeah. We're always on the same wavelength. I feel like I was saying that like a couple of days ago where someone was like, what are you hoping to do? And I said, more accessibility to people.
Yep.
Like, I know what it feels like to like smoke cigarettes, be overweight, not move, not have a community like jiu-jitsu. I swear I'm not in a cult. But like, people don't know what that feels like to be on the other side. I know what it feels like to be over there and to be thinking, man, there's no way that's possible. Like, there's no way that's me. And it is possible. And so I really tried to find as many opportunities as I can to remind people like it is possible. Please just follow. Like there is a better way to live, and it's not actually that hard. I find people like to make it sound hard, so that way they can excuse themselves for not doing the easy work. Because then they'd have to admit that they don't actually care as much as they say they do. But the work is actually easy. Show up 2 to 3 times a week, doing something you care about that gets you moving. Talk to people with intention, ask questions, and be grateful. You'll figure out that life has a lot more to it than just showing up to work and leaving because you get paid. You'll find that there's meaning in the conversations around you. People have a lot more to offer. Maybe not now sometimes, but if you push them and help them grow, that they will have something to offer to you. And if people do a horrible job at like seeing the potential in others and like pushing them to like be that with them, and they're like, oh, they're just a lost cause. Maybe if you fucking talk to them.
And on the other side of that, I also see people that it's like, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So it's a lot, sometimes it's like that, I just don't have the time for that right now.
Right.
And they don't even realize what they're missing necessarily. Like even not even just jiu-jitsu, like I've seen people with fitness where it's like, I look back to the person they are a year from that, a year ago, and they're like, I can't believe I lived that way. I didn't even know that I was destroying my body every day. Like, I thought that that's what normal people did. I thought that's what I was supposed to do.
Pretty wild. It is literally insane. We could go on. I have a million examples of people. One recently, I'm not going to talk about it. Never mind. She's going to think I'm calling her out. I'm going to leave it be for today. But like, people just don't even know how good they could feel. And sometimes they're desensitized to how bad they actually feel. Right? But easy way to call yourself out. Walk outside in this heat for 30 minutes and then go for a mile run. If you can't do that, you need to get moving. You need to fix some things. A mile is a lot harder to run than people like to make it seem.
I was talking to my nanny the other day, and she was like, I can't believe whenever I started, it was like a chore for me to drink water.
That's crazy. And now she's crushing it.
Exactly.
It's wild. And she was almost quit a couple of times. And she's doing things that she never thought she could do in a million years. She's aging in reverse. Okay, cool. Well, jiu-jitsu is close to, obviously, both of our hearts and means a lot to us, as it should, you know. But what's one thing you've learned from this process, starting Groundworks, that you weren't expecting?
Well, I've learned a lot on the business side that I didn't even realize I didn't know.
I remember that feeling.
That part has been an eye-opening experience, and it quickly became a lot bigger than it was in my head whenever the idea started, which isn't a bad thing. I'm very excited about the direction we're going, and I'm very confident that we're going to be able to pull it off. But it quickly became a lot bigger than it started off being in my head, just because I was like, I don't want to do over-promise, under-deliver.
Right.
But I feel like we've went in a good direction.
Yeah, I think so too. But I mean, when you know how hard you work and how things align with you, it's almost hard to over-deliver. To under-promise, because you're going to bring so much anyway. And we do everything to like the highest degree possible every time we do something. The most simplest things. We make sure it's perfect. Even a small community event of like 4 people, that's free. We make sure everything is as perfect as it can be. And I think we know that in ourselves. So, I mean, striving for more never hurts.
Yep.
It just keeps bringing it out of us, but it also brings fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear that it won't happen. And I think we handle that so well because of our history that it's like, what's going to happen? We're going to kill it, or we're not. We're going to put everything we have into it, and it'll still display to us how hard we work. So there's really only a win-win, you know? That's how I feel about it. What are we still trying to figure out? Nothing. We got this. We're doing the work. And nothing to figure out other than you guys to show up to your matches and crush it. So follow the damn Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube. Walker, are you making your appearance today? Come on, Walker.
CSO.
I think we also wrote down to remind them that the mission is opportunity, not hype. So we are excited. It's not to make it just about, you know, you fighting on GSF. It's to provide you guys the opportunity to showcase your skill set, show your friends and family, not have to drive 8 hours for one match, maybe to drive 3 hours for one match, but to just have a really cool experience and to be handed money by this guy.
Let's go.
Show him your money hand. Dude, you're so stiff. You got rigor mortis already. Dog, too crazy. Okay, and then I think the last question I wanted to ask you, because we kind of talked about it at the end, is what are you hoping that the segment of Raw Milk can bring out of people?
I think we talked about the competitor mindset a little bit earlier. And how it applies to life, and it doesn't have to be something that's exclusive to people that are doing these crazy things. I think in every aspect of life, being a competitor is important, even if you're not competing against other people, just competing to be the best version of yourself and doing challenging things. And why'd you look at me like that?
I said, I'm not doing anything hard right now. I'm back to go sleep.
He got very angry whenever I said doing challenging things.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not doing that. He sounds like you. He sounds like you. I'm not doing nothing. And then proceeds to do it all, actually. The amount of times you told me I'm not doing any of that. And then the next day you're like, here's the whole entire to-do list and plan for the whole entire thing we talked about.
Yep.
And that's, cool. Well, I like that. I think this has been a good episode. I don't think we left anything out.
I don't
right?
think so.
Except for Walker.
And if we did, they'll figure it out later.
Yeah, they did. We'll post a segment afterwards. Oh my God, this is a good way to end it. Clearly, he loves me. Oh my God.
What
Okay.
did that mean lady do to you? Any final
Perfect.
words for the people?
Oh,
No? Okay.
he said, I'm going to sleep.